Okay, I went and got some more mulch, and I've pretty much finished mulching the garden, although I'll probably, no doubt, add more later in the season as this kind of pot packs down. So let me show you what I've got, take you on a little tour. You can kind of see there's mulch everywhere. Now, I've already told you some of this, like the potatoes. Now, I've got a lot of flags marking those. Now, they're big enough, the flag, I don't need the flags, but I use flags for lots of different reasons. And in this case, when plants are small or I'm marking rows, I'll put flags along there until the plants are big enough that they're clear to see, because when you're putting down heavy mulch like this especially, you need to know exactly where everything is. So you can see some of the small potatoes there, some small squash plants here. Heavens, I hope I'm going to be looking for squash recipes. You know, I've got yellow squash and green squash, zucchini, whatever you want to call it. A few peppers. I didn't plant that many peppers this year. There's only 5 right here. There's some more over there, but for some reason, I mean, look at how, what are they, 10 feet apart? And yet, the ones over there are doing really poorly, and I don't know why. Here's my tomatoes. Now, I use candle panels. You can buy these 16 foot, and if you got a trailer to transport them, and if you're at least some of your hardware stores that give you good service, your smaller ones, they'll probably cut them into smaller pieces. You just need bolt cutters if you need to transport them smaller. Now, there's a couple of options. I usually leave them in one long continuous piece, but 16 feet, there's 24 squares, and so actually if you count them off 8, no, that's like, what's 26? I'm not math enhanced. You can bend them into squares to make great tomato towers, you know, if that's the way you prefer it. And if you look up here, and if you cut the top, or the bottom really, out, they stick into the ground really firmly. So I use them for a couple of trees that I'm protecting. I had a lizard out here a couple of minutes ago, and I see he's disappeared. You know, it's a really friendly environment. I try not to use any kind of poisons on here. You know, it's really shocking. You go to Home Depot or Lowe's, they must have 50 feet of various different kind of insecticides, fungicides, herbicides, way more space spent dedicated to poisons that kill stuff than any kind of fertilizer or anything like that. I try to resist this. Now, if I get fire ants in here, yeah, I'll drop a nuclear bomb on it to get them out of here. But I won't say that mine is organic, but I try to use natural fertilizer, and I try, by planting things closely together like this, it seems to keep the insects away. Some things like squash, okay, I'll harvest all of my squash before they get hit by squash bugs. And so, excuse me. And so I've very rarely had any kind of significant problem with bugs. Now my tomatoes, like right here, this one is kind of hard to do, but so I won't do it. But I try to weave them in and out of this a little bit, trying not to damage the plant. Otherwise, I'll use string. You can see a piece of string right there. Actually, brown twine is better. It puts less stress on the plant. Here's a couple I might be able to weave through a little bit. String works just as well and doesn't damage the plant. And so that grows them up. Makes it easy to pick. They're clean. You can eat them right off the vine. Here's my cucumbers. Now on this side of the fence, I planted a variety called Watama, which is my favorite. I mean, they make great pickles of any kind you want, and they're good fresh eating. They didn't do, last year and this year, I didn't get anything out of them. They did really poorly. So after not doing well this year, I went down to the store. I grabbed some generic bag of cucumbers. We'll see what turns out. I've got it written down. And cucumbers also I'll weave into my cattle panels. Again, you can see some of the paper right there that it doesn't all get covered up. And so I can get down on my knees, weed this really easily from what little there is. And I'll probably add more. Now, besides the benefit of making it very easy to maintain and very little weeds to deal with, this builds up over the years as far as fertility. I can come out here on a cold day in winter, take a shovel, and I can find earthworms. So, you know, that tells you your soil is very, very fertile, because the earthworms find plenty to eat, and plus they're adding their own fertility, and tunneling through there aerates the soil. So, you know, it's fantastic. Now, I know this looks like crap. This is my garlic, and over here, my onions. The onions are covered a lot of weed like this. Let me see if I can pull one up. Yeah, I don't know what this is called. It's mildly annoying, but not much of a problem. Now, I know it looks terrible, but there's a reason. I'm leaving both the garlic and the onions to develop full bulbs. I usually have, I think I really pick them too early, and so they don't last long. Excuse me. And so they don't last long. So this year, I'm just going to let them stay there until they're completely dead. They'll keep for months in the soil like that. And once they're completely dead, I'll get out here with a shovel and a pitchfork, dig them all up. Don't wash them. You know, you just wipe them off. You wash them, you actually take some of the protection off of it and do some damage, and they'll keep much better if you don't do that. So anyway, that's the garden for right now. We'll see what happens later on. I guess when squash and things start dying out, I'll come back and I'll plant some beans in their place and keep it looking good, keep it looking healthy. All right, till next time.